Okay, hello Applied 30S students. Today we're going to be talking about exploring systems of linear inequalities. So we are on page 19 in your booklet. Definition: system of linear inequalities. This means a set of two or more linear inequalities that are graphed together. So the crossover of the solution regions represents the solution set for the system. So the blue mark represents my graph in 4 quadrants, and then my green lines are my two linear equations. And then the black is the shaded solution area where the two lines meet. So an example, graph the system of linear inequalities, justify a representation of the solution set. So we have x plus y is less than or equal to 5, and we have x plus 3y is greater than 0. So we are going to start this off. Our step 1 is to find out what the boundaries are. Okay, so I know that x plus y equals 5, and I know that x plus 3y is equal to 0. Remember that if we have the less than or equal to, we are going to be using a straight line. If we just have a less than or greater than sign, we're going to be using a dotted line on our graph. So my step 2 is to determine 2 points for each of the sets. So I wanted to find 2 points on my graph, so I plugged in 0 for x, therefore y turns out to be 5. If I plug in 0 for y, then x turns out to be 5. I could play around with the same numbers if I would use x being 2 or y being 2. And I did the same thing for the x plus 3y equals 0. So I started off with x being 0, which means since I can't divide by 0, my y ends up being 0 as well. Therefore, I knew and I could see that if I would make y 0, then my x would also be 0. So I chose to make y 1, which makes my x negative 3. So my step 3 is I'm going to graph my points. So I'm going to make x plus 5, or x plus y, the 5 one, I'm going to make that blue. Okay, so I have graphed mine, and then, oh, now it's off since I misdrew my line. It's really hard to draw on these smartboards. Okay, so where the two lines intersect, in that area is going to be my shaded region and the solution set. Remember, my green one has to be dotted because it is not a greater than or equal to line. It is just a greater than line. So the things to note, the area of overlap when graphing systems of inequalities represents the solution set. If there is no overlap, then the system of inequalities has no solution. An intersection of a dashed line and a solid line should be replaced with an open dot, since that point won't be a part of the solution set. Most systems of linear inequalities representing real-world situations are limited to positive values for their solution sets. Okay, so let's try some practice. Turn to page 21. We're going to match each of the graphs with the correct systems of linear inequalities. So what we're going to do first is we're going to try and graph them by ourselves. Okay, so this is saying x is less than 2.5 and y is greater than 3. So I'm going to graph the x is greater than or equal to 2.5. Okay, next I'm going to graph the y is greater than 3. So my shaded area are where these two lines are going to meet. So that to me looks like graph number A. So 1 would be, or I would be put with A. Let's see if we can do B. So my first one says that y is greater than 1.5. The next one says that 3y minus x is greater than 3.